Hey guys and gals, it's Caleb here with intern Josh.
How's it going, everybody?
And we're going to take a little look at Metro 2033, the Redux version.
So excited.
Now this is the version that's actually coming to consoles and PC shortly. It's more than just a remaster. They've actually gone back and kind of rebuilt, at least 2033, rebuilt it a little bit to kind of bring it up to some modern standards. So we're going to take a look at about 13 minutes of gameplay here, kind of the new version of 2033. I've never played this series, but Josh, you're a huge fan, so you'll probably see a bunch of differences.
Yeah, I absolutely love the series. It's awesome. The atmosphere is great.
So right off the bat, you'll probably notice a difference. This level's called Alley, which is actually the bridging between two levels. Originally Alley and Library in 2033. What 4A has done this time around actually is they've built not only kind of new intros to levels, but they've bridged some levels as well. So this used to be 2 levels, and now it's actually one kind of longer, meatier chunk of the game. What's going on? I noticed things flying in the sky.
Yeah, right. So as you walk out, you're kind of in the ruins of Moscow. You spend most of the game in the metros of Moscow, which is kind of the last bastion of humanity in Metro 2033. And as you exit the metros, you kind of walk out into this almost winter desert wasteland. You'll see you're going to put a mask on because you actually can't breathe the air. It's toxic as a result of pretty much humanity dooming itself via nuclear annihilation.
Right. What's cool to me about this series, and you know, I haven't played it myself. I'm actually really excited to jump in with this new version. Is kind of how it's a different approach to FPS than we usually see. I think Metro 2033 specifically is kind of known as more of a survival horror approach to the FPS genre. I love it that it's more than just kind of walk into a room, clear out the enemies, walk into a room, clear out the enemies. And there seems to be a little bit more going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely a gritty and almost a role-playing sort of experience. You're super immersed into this world. You'll look above, you'll see flying mutants, which might have just been bats at one point.
And the world itself is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
This is actually a huge visual upgrade from 2033 originally, especially the console version, which came out on 360, I believe.
Yeah, I played the PC, so I always had a stunning graphics.
Yeah, of course. But so I mean, even from the PC version, they've really gone in and they've redone the skybox. You see, there's dynamic weather. Mm-hmm. They've kind of redone some of the geometry and texture work as well.
Which is insane. That must have taken a good amount of time. Actually, it's not just a simple port.
And the other thing is, and you're not really seeing it here, but a little bit earlier, and well, actually any light source, you'll kind of notice it, but especially from the sun, is they've added global illumination as well, so that the sun or light sources actually act like light sources, and you know, kind of work realistically, cast shadows realistically. It's a really cool effect.
Yeah, it's definitely better than baked lighting. All right, so you might notice that, like, as you take out your lighter, you can burn away sort of like spider webs that are infesting areas to reach items. I've got to say the flame of the lighter looks absolutely spectacular.
And apparently the trap system is something new that they've added for this version of 2033. You saw him kind of cut the line on that trap.
So that was actually a part of the original game.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yep, you could do that, which is awesome. It's another part of the sort of item resource management. You can actually take whatever item was in that trap. You know, you can see some debris falling there. I don't know if that was in the original game. They might have added that for a little more effect.
The one thing that I do keep noticing is, and I'm sure you'll see it soon, is as the water accumulates on the screen or on, I guess, your goggles, you have to wipe it away. Mm-hmm. That's something that I believe was added for Last Light, but they went back and put it back in here too, because I think it adds kind of an extra level of immersion.
It does. It absolutely does. And on top of that, nothing was more annoying in the first game than when you had a ton of like rain and stuff on your mask and you couldn't see anything.
Let's jump in quickly. This area right here is where the alley would have ended originally. You kind of get up to the doors and the level ends, but instead they've added a firefight here to kind of bridge the two levels. You'll sort of see, you know, we'll be able to shoot out here, and then they'll go into the library and it'll all kind of be seamless.
Yeah, so this is all going to be new for me.
Right there, you notice he took a look at the watch. I was actually talking to one of the producers on the game earlier this week, and he told me a little bit about the watch, which I think is really cool. That's something called a Nixie watch, which if you look up, it's not digital. It's like 40-year-old technology. It's like analog tubes. So it's kind of cool that that's based on a real-world lo-fi piece of tech.
Yeah, that's
That's
definitely cool.
also how you see how much time is left in your filter, right?
Yeah, on the hardcore mode, you have to look at your watch instead of relying on HUD UI elements.
Yeah, actually, speaking of hardcore mode, you saw at the beginning of the clip, you had a couple options you could pick from. Not just the hardcore, ranger, those sort of difficulty levels, but you also get to pick whether or not you want to play the game kind of the classic 2033 more survival style, or if you want to play it Spartan, which is kind of the more last light action style. What's neat is that they've added that option to both games so that you can actually play last light kind of as a little more of a stealth experience.
So now I can go back and play 2033 in a last light kind of manner and vice versa.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, this whole battle was not in the original one. It's actually pretty cool, sort of survival sort of thing going on here. Only thing I can imagine is that it's rough for the people who are resource management intensive.
Yeah, apparently a lot of the enemy models were actually the newer models they built for Last Light. They kind of re-imported them here and added a bit there as well.
Yeah, on top of that, I can tell you right now that the friendly models for these Rangers that you see here are completely brand new from Last Light. That's not how they looked in the original. These are Last Light models that you're seeing right here.
And we've seen a lot of actually shooting down of demons, but one thing I didn't realize, and makes the game even more appealing to me, is apparently every area designed for human combat is also designed for a non-lethal approach. So Hugh, the producer I was talking to earlier this week, also mentioned that it's possible to get through the game with only killing one human, I believe.
That's incredible.
Which is really cool. I mean, for me, like, I love being able to approach a game from multiple different ways, and it looks like between the options that they're giving us here, as well as kind of how the game is built for multiple approaches, I'm really excited to give it a try.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Metro is that each game has multiple endings depending on how you play the game. So if you do go through the stealthy approach, non-lethal takedowns, you actually get what's considered the good ending, even though the bad ending is actually canon. If you get the good ending, it's kind of a cool surprise Easter egg sort of thing. You don't feel like a dick when that happens. So, but no one really did that because the stealth was so bad in the original game that it was just really annoying. It was quirky. I actually enjoyed the challenge, but sometimes it would just be unreasonable. So the fact that they're kind of implementing Last Light's stealth system is definitely going to encourage.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that the stealth was bad in the first game, right? I think that it sounds like 4A really has taken a lot of feedback from fans, and that's kind of what they've taken to this approach here. You know, part of the reason why I've never played either version of the game is when 2033 came out on PC, you know, I didn't have a great gaming PC. I heard all about it. I heard it was awesome. It kind of became this cult hit. But yeah, people did say that, you know, there was kind of a little bit of a jankiness to it, and that if you could get past that level, then those are the people who loved it. But a lot of people kind of got turned off by some of the mechanical deficiencies. And they improved a lot of that in Last Light, but then also I think in some ways took away kind of some of the stuff that the fans liked. So this appears to be kind of their chance to go back to both games and kind of balance that out. You know, I think probably the way they originally envisioned it.
Yeah, which is something a lot of developers don't have the chance to do. A game ships, and it's like all those things they wanted to do, they don't have a chance to go back to. It's really cool seeing a developer have that chance.
Yeah.
And this entire area right here is kind of the transition area from the alley level from before to this library level.
Right, as we've been talking, I mean, we totally even missed that transition. Oh god, what's going on there?
So this is a demon. That's what they call all the flying mutated monsters. Trying to break in there.
So without spoiling too much for those who haven't played the game, do we know why the demons appeared or what's going on, or is that kind of what you figure out throughout the course of the game?
So demons have always been around, same with the Nosalises, which is what they call the kind of mutated, oversized rats. And those have just always been around, a common enemy they've had to fight and survive against. Basically, the plot of this game, and this isn't really spoiling much, it's introduced at the beginning. There's a new threat, and they're kind of these like ominous, like just giant, intelligent, mutated beings that are slowly killing off humanity. And the point of this level is to reach an underground missile facility to take them out.
Okay.
Yep. So they've got, and that facility is called D6. So you're actually trying to go through this abandoned library to reach that.
It's amazing how much atmosphere the lighting really adds.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
I mean, I know that's the one thing that PC gamers have been saying for a long time that I think more console-centric gamers are just starting to see with PS4 and Xbox One is how much of a jump to visual fidelity and to like putting you in the game world something like a good lighting engine can be.
And for games that have a huge emphasis on gameplay, it might be a little less important. But on a game like this, not saying that the gameplay is bad, the gameplay is amazing, but this game is so intensive on atmosphere.
Yeah.
There's so much emphasis on it that the difference in lighting can actually really affect the experience that you have.
Now, I already know how I'm going to play this game the first time. I'm going to play super stealthy. I'm going to play non-lethal. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic based on that atmosphere, you know, based on the tools the game gives me, but also kind of the bit of oppression going on here atmospherically, which I love.
Oh man, honestly, those character models are great. In the original game, all of the friendly rangers kind of look similar, aside from their faces. The uniforms they wore were extremely similar. Now they kind of have their own distinct models, and it's actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to dwell on graphics, especially when a game does look very good.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, you know, what matters is how it plays, and it seems like this is doing both.
Yeah, they nailed it. These are always parts of the game where I just wouldn't shoot. I'd let my friends just kind of take care of it, because obviously.
So is it sort of
away.
scripted? I mean, that's he'll fly away eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're playing on survival mode, ammunition's just so precious. Like, actually, it's not only a resource for survival, it's a currency system. You buy weapons and armor upgrades with bullets.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really about finding that middle ground between, like, do I invest in this, like, better AK?
Yeah.
Or do I save the ammo and just have an excess?
No, I
of
mean,
that?
that level of resource management is sort of one of the hallmarks of survival horror as a genre. I mean, like, the Resident Evil games, right? It's all about making sure that you don't have ammunition and, oh God, where's that typewriter tape? You know, how am I going to save? So yeah, I like when games kind of make you work for it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Was that another trap?
Not sure why he shot the chandelier, to be honest. Might have been. All right, so you'll actually see another addition to Metro 2033 is the attachable scope on top of that weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You could get that in Last Light, but I don't believe you could get it in 2033. And that's another one of the features just making its way over.
Yeah, it sounds like they've really taken a lot from Last Light and kind of brought it back, but still while maintaining what made 2033 2033, right?
Yep.
And what's even more impressive also is, I mean, this is a tiny dev team working in Kiev in the Ukraine. I think there's like 80 people working on the game, which, I mean, making a game with any size team to me is impressive.
Yeah.
But making a game this big with a team that small is, I mean, definitely something to applaud.
Especially under the conditions they're in right now.
Yeah. So 4A devs, we applaud you for sure.
Yeah, well done. In fact, I think the original founders of that company came from Stalker Shadows of Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And that was a childhood favorite of mine. I played that all the time. So good.
You had a weird childhood intern, Josh.
It was another atmospheric game, very similar to this one, and I guess I just kind of really dig the vibe that these guys give.
Yeah. So it looks like we're almost to the end of the gameplay here. Metro Redux, which includes both 2033 and Last Light Redux, comes out at the end of August. Apparently, it's got all the DLC. Everything's on disc. You're not going to be paying anything extra. Both games are apparently they're shooting for locked 60 FPS. So really, kind of the premium full-in experience, kind of befitting the Redux name. And thank you all for watching. Be sure to keep it locked to IGN for everything Metro Redux, including our review in the upcoming weeks. Thanks.